Hello, welcome to the online lecture. This week we will talk about endocrine system. So the study of endocrine system consists of mainly two things. One is the endocrine gland, the other one is the hormones that they secrete. So hormones, what are hormones? Hormones, they are the chemical messenger that can affect other glands or other tissues located far away from the glands. So hormone, by definition, they travel by blood vessels. They travel by blood. That's why hormone can work on an organ or tissue that is farther away from the gland. And just like the nervous system, hormone is also a control system. Therefore, in physiology, we usually first talk about nervous system. Because nervous system controls most of other systems. And then the next one we usually talk about is the endocrine system. Because endocrine system also control a lot of other systems, but endocrine system is kind of under the nervous system control. We'll see that later. And just like nervous system, endocrine system also maintain the homeostasis of our body. And it can affect metabolism, growth, and development. Growth factor. Growth factor is a form of hormone that can provide cell division or mitosis. Local hormone. They are not carried by blood. An example of local hormone is prostaglandins. Prostaglandin is an inflammatory hormone. It causes your tissue swells and turns red. So we have two types of glands, endocrine gland and exocrine gland. For endocrine gland, they don't have duct. They secrete hormone into tissue fluid, and then from tissue fluid, they will go to the bloodstream. And through the bloodstream, the hormone is carried to a different part of the body. Exocrine gland, on the other hand, they have ducts. Example, exocrine glands are salivary glands, and then you have also sweat glands. You also have mammary glands. And so these are the example of endocrine glands that it is important to know their names and location. I would suggest you to pay attention to this one. For example, the pineal glands, it is located inside the brain at these tips. Hypothalamus is here. Hypo means below, so on top of hypothalamus, this is the thalamus. This is the thalamus, this is the hypothalamus. That means under the thalamus. Pituitary glands is in here. And then we have thyroid glands on our throat, on top of the larynx. And then on the surface of the thyroid glands, we have these four dots. These four dots, they are called parathyroid glands. And then we have thymus. Thymus is basically located, you may call it anterior to your heart, but posterior to your sternum. And then adrenal gland. Adrenal gland, as the name suggests, meaning that on top. Renal, kidneys. So these adrenal glands, they're on top of the kidneys. Pancreas. Pancreas is the only gland that is both exocrine and endocrine glands. And then we have testes and ovary. These are called gonads. Gonads, they are also endocrine glands. So this table summarizes everything. So if you are these two tables, this one and this one, so they summarizes everything that we are going to talk about in today's online lecture. They are very useful, these two tables. So hormone, and how can hormone work on maintain the homeostasis? Well, as you know that both nervous system and endocrine system, they control many systems. But the difference is that endocrine system secrete hormone into the blood to take control or affect other organs. But nervous system uses action potential to affect other organs. The response is slower, the response is faster in nervous system. Faster response is nervous system because the nerve directly innervate the organs. But endocrine system is not directly act on the organ. As you know that the hormone is secreted in the blood, and then it carries the hormone to different organs. So it takes time for the blood to carry the hormone. And the effect is longer, the effect is shorter. So as long as the nervous system stop sending the action potential, then the effect will stop. But the hormone is longer effect because even when the endocrine gland stops secreting the hormone, you still have the hormone in the bloodstream. It takes a while before the body breaks down the hormone. That's why the effect is longer. And the blood concentration of certain ion can also affect the endocrine gland. For example, blood calcium level. If blood calcium level is too low, what will happen? If blood calcium level is too low, then the parathyroid gland will secrete parathyroid hormone, and the parathyroid hormone will tell osteoclast. Osteoclast is one form of a bone cell that they can dissolve the bone. When they dissolve the bone, then it will release calcium from the bone onto the bloodstream, and hopefully it will restore the low blood calcium level back to its original level. And of course, just like the hormone also works on using negative feedback to restore the homeostasis of the body. Here we give you two examples, insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon, they are antagonistic hormone. The function of insulin is to decrease the blood glucose level, but glucagon is the one that increases the blood glucose level. So they work in an opposite effect. So this is an example. If we have a high blood glucose level, let's say after we eat a meal, then pancreas will secrete insulin. Insulin will tell the liver to store glucose, and then glucose is removed from the blood. And when we have lowered blood glucose level, then insulin will not be secreted by pancreas. And as I said, that insulin and glucagon, they are antagonistic hormone. So insulin is offset by the glucagon, and while glucagon raises the blood sugar level. And hormones acts on target cell. It may increase the uptake of a substance, or it may bring changes to the target cell. It can be either, it can bring out a different effect. We have two types of hormone. One type is called peptide hormone. Peptide hormone, they include the peptide, that means short chain of amino acid, or a complete protein, or glycoprotein, or modified amino acid. All these are called peptide hormones. Steroid hormone. Example of peptide hormones, tyrosine, Some of peptide hormone, they are epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So these are the peptide, norepinephrine and epinephrine and norepinephrine. These are called peptide hormone. And then steroid hormone, they are the usually they have 4 rings because these steroid hormone they are derived from cholesterol. An example of steroid hormone is estrogen and testosterone. They all have the 4-ring structure. Chemical signals. Hormones, they are chemical signals. They can affect metabolism, but they require receptor in order to bring out the effect. For peptide hormone, they have a receptor on the cell surface. The reason is that peptide hormone, they are hydrophilic. They can dissolve in water, they can dissolve in the cytoplasm, they can dissolve in the blood. So they cannot go through the phospholipid bilayer of the cell membrane. That's why the receptor of the peptide hormone, they have to be on the cell surface. But the steroid hormone, on the other hand, they have receptor inside the cell. They can be in the cytoplasm and they can be in the nucleus. The reason is that steroid hormone, they are cholesterol. Cholesterol in general, they are hydrophobic. Hydrophobic steroid hormone can pass through the phospholipid cell membrane. Because they can pass through the phospholipid bilayer cell membrane, then they can bind to internal receptor in the cytoplasm or in the nucleus. So this is an example. You see that this is a target cell. On the surface, they have the receptor. So the hormone binds to the cell surface receptor. So this is a peptide hormone. And the hormone is carried by the blood.